Amina was 19 when the dreams began. She had always been a quiet girl, gentle, kind, deeply rooted in faith. She prayed 5 times a day, read from the Quran before sleep, and helped her mother prepare meals for the poor in their village. But one night, as she lay beneath the soft glow of an oil lamp, she dreamed differently. She stood at the river's edge, barefoot, wrapped in a white robe. The water shimmered under moonlight like it was alive. Then came the whisper, not loud, not cruel, just calling her name, softly, repeatedly. Amina stepped forward. The river didn't feel cold, just warm, inviting. She reached down to touch it, and suddenly, she saw herself in the reflection. Only, it wasn't her. Her eyes were golden, her fingers slightly webbed, her lips parted but no sound came. Only silence, only watching, only waiting. She woke up gasping. Sweat clung to her skin. Her heart pounded like she had run for miles. Khalid stirred beside her. "You okay?" he asked gently. Amina nodded slowly. "It was just a dream," she whispered. But deep inside, something unsettled her. Because even after waking, she still felt the river, still heard the whisper, still saw the child in the water, looking back at her like he knew her, like he was hers. Months passed, and the dreams kept coming. Each time the same scene, each time the same child, and each time, Amina felt herself slipping further into something she couldn't explain. Something older than fear, something deeper than belief. And soon the village would begin to notice, because the signs were already showing. Even if Amina hadn't spoken them out loud. Why et first? Amina tried to ignore the changes. She told herself it was just stress, just pregnancy hormones, just imagination running wild in the dark. But soon, the signs became impossible to deny. She began craving things she had never eaten before. Raw fish, uncooked rice, water straight from the river behind her home. Khalid noticed. "You sure you're okay?" he asked one evening as she refused dinner. Amina gave a small nod. "I'm just tired," she whispered. But that wasn't true. She was tired, but also restless, like something beneath her skin wouldn't settle. One morning, Khalid found scratch marks on her arms. Deep, fresh. "Amina," he said gently. "What happened?" Amina blinked. She didn't remember doing it. "I don't know," she admitted. "I must have done it in my sleep." Khalid frowned but didn't push. Not yet. The dreams worsened. Each night, she returned to the river. Each night, the child waited. Sometimes he reached for her. Other times, he simply watched. And always, he whispered. Only now, she could almost understand the words. "Come closer. You know me. I am yours." One afternoon, while washing clothes by the river, Amina froze. She looked down at her reflection. Her eyes, golden, for just a second. Then they were back to brown. She stepped away quickly, heart pounding. Had she imagined it? Or had something changed inside her? Fatima, Amina's mother, started growing concerned. "You walk like you not here," she said one morning. "Are you sleeping?" Amina hesitated. "No," she admitted. "Not really." Fatima studied her carefully. "Is it the baby?" she asked. "Are you in pain?" Amina shook her head. She swallowed hard. "I feel different." Fatima placed a hand on her shoulder. "You are carrying life," she reminded her. "It is holy work." Amina nodded slowly, but inside she knew. This was no ordinary birth. No ordinary dream. Something older stirred within her. Something deeper than faith. And she didn't know how to tell them, because even if she did, who would believe her? The village began to notice. Amina moved differently now. Slower, quieter, like she was listening to something no one else could hear. She avoided sunlight more than before. She spoke in her sleep. And sometimes, when the wind blew just right, she turned toward the river like it was calling her name. Children whispered about her as she passed. Older women made the sign of protection behind her back. Even the midwife, Haja Mariam, grew uneasy around her. One afternoon, Haja Mariam pulled Amina's mother aside. "She walks with shadows," the midwife said gently. "She doesn't wake up when we knock. She dreams too deeply." Fatima frowned. "You think something wrong with her?" Haja Mariam hesitated. "I think," she whispered, "she has been touched by something old." Fatima's heart tightened. She returned home and watched Amina carefully that night. Amina sat on the floor, whispering into a bowl of water like she was speaking to someone inside it. Fatima stepped forward. "Amina," she said gently, "who are you talking to?" Amina blinked, then looked up. "No one," she said quickly. "Just myself." Fatima didn't believe her, but she didn't push. Not yet. Khalid tried to understand. He asked questions. He watched her closely. He held her when she woke up screaming from nightmares. One evening, he found her standing at the window, staring toward the river. "Why do you keep looking out there?" he asked. Amina didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "I feel like I know it better than anything else." Khalid tilted his head. "The river." Amina nodded slowly. "It speaks to me," she admitted. "In my dreams." Khalid swallowed hard. "What does it say?" Amina looked at him, eyes wide, voice trembling. "That I'm not alone." Khalid reached for her hand. "You're not," he said gently. "You never were." Amina gave a small smile, but deep down she knew. It wasn't his voice she heard. It was something older, something deeper, something waiting. Weeks passed. The whispers in the village grew louder. At the market, Fatima overheard two women speaking quietly. "She walks like she already belongs to the water," one muttered. "She should not be allowed near children. What if the spirit follows her?" Fatima clenched her fists. When she returned home, she lit incense at the doorway. She whispered prayers beneath her breath. Then she sat beside Amina. "We must go to the mosque," she said firmly. "We must ask for protection." Amina blinked. "For what?" Fatima met her eyes. "For whatever is inside you." Amina felt a chill crawl up her spine. She wanted to argue, to tell her mother she was imagining things. But the truth lingered in the silence between them, because even Amina feared it now. The way she felt drawn to the water. The way her child waited in her dreams, watching her. Waiting, always waiting. That night, Amina stood at the edge of the river alone. Moonlight shimmered across its surface. She closed her eyes. Then she whispered, "If you are real, show me." The water rippled. Amina opened her eyes. Nothing had changed, except the feeling in her chest. Stronger, closer, like something had heard her, and answered, without a word. Only presence, only watching, only waiting. And Amina? She walked away, but not fast enough, because part of her didn't want to leave. Part of her wanted to stay, to listen, to understand, because she knew now. This was no ordinary pregnancy, and soon, the world would see it too. The night the baby was born, the village felt it before they saw it. A thick fog rolled in from the river. Slow, heavy, unnatural. No birds sang. No dogs barked. Only silence. And wind, whispering through the trees like something new. Knew this moment had come. Amina screamed through labor longer than any woman before her. Her body shook with pain no one could explain. She clawed at the sheets. She whispered things no one understood. And when she looked at Khalid, her eyes flickered, just for a second. Golden, then gone. Khalid stepped back slightly. He didn't speak, but fear settled deep in his chest. Haja Mariam worked quickly, sweat on her brow, hands trembling despite years of experience. "This not normal," she muttered under her breath. Fatima sat beside her daughter, whispering verses from the Quran. "Stay strong," she urged. "Fight whatever tries to take you." Amina cried out again. Then came the final push. Silence. Not even the baby made a sound. Everyone froze. Mariam held the child in her hands, but barely dared to move. His skin was smooth, cold. His fingers were webbed just slightly. His eyes were open, white, golden, reflecting the dim candlelight like glass. like he had always been watching. Amina reached for him. Mariam hesitated. Then Fatima snapped, "Give him to her." Mariam obeyed reluctantly. Amina pulled the baby close, tears streaming down her face. "My son," she whispered. "My beautiful son." But no one else smiled. Only watched. Only feared. Word spread fast. By morning, the whole village knew. Amina had given birth to something different. Something that didn't cry like other babies. Something that didn't feel warm. Something that stared too long, too deeply. People. The shadows. At the water. Imam Yusuf arrived later that day, wrapped in robes, face unreadable. He stood over Amina's bed and looked at the child. For a long time he said nothing. Then he turned to Mariam. "What did she dream?" he asked quietly. Mariam swallowed hard. "She spoke to the river," she admitted. "In sleep, in waking, like she already knew him." Imam Yusuf closed his eyes briefly. Then he whispered, "May Allah have mercy." He turned to Amina. "You must bring him to the mosque," he said, "for blessing." Amina nodded weakly. "I will," she promised. But inside she already knew. They would never accept him, because they didn't see what she did. They didn't feel the way he pulsed against her chest. Like he wasn't wrong, just different. That night the whispers began. In homes, in alleyways, in hushed voices behind closed doors. She dreamed too much. She listened to the old stories. Now she's brought something back. Children were kept away from her house. Women crossed themselves as they passed. Men avoided looking at the window. Even Khalid couldn't ignore the weight pressing on them. One evening, he stood by the doorway, watching Amina hold the baby. She hummed softly, a lullaby passed down through generations. But the child didn't cry, didn't coo, just watched her, with those golden eyes. Khalid cleared his throat. "He doesn't seem like others," he said carefully. Amina met his gaze. "No," she whispered. "He isn't." Khalid took a shaky breath. "Do you know what they're saying?" Amina blinked slowly. "They think I'm cursed," she said. Khalid looked away. "They think we're cursed." Amina tightened her hold on the baby. "I don't care what they say," she whispered. "He is mine." Khalid studied her face. Then he knelt beside her. "And I'll protect you both," he said, even if it meant facing everything the village feared. Over the next few days, the baby grew not in size but in presence. He didn't have milk, but only drank water. He slept with his eyes half open. And sometimes, when no one was looking, he moved without crying. Quietly, too quietly. One afternoon, Haja Mariam returned to check on Amina. She placed a hand on the baby's cheek. Cold, not sick, just different. She looked at Amina. "He not fully human," she whispered. Amina flinched. "But he is yours," Mariam added. "That much is clear." Amina swallowed hard. "Does that matter?" Mariam gave a small nod. "To me," she said gently. "Yes." She turned to leave, then paused. "But to them?" She sighed. "No." By week's end, the village had decided. Amina had brought something ancient into their world. Something older than faith, older than reason. And now, they would have to live with it, or run her out. The first days with the baby were quiet. Too quiet. Amina held him close, whispering prayers into his soft skin. She fed him water from a small bowl, not milk, not formula, just river water warmed slightly over fire. He drank without protest, without struggle, without crying. And that frightened her more than pain ever had. Because newborns cried. They screamed for warmth, for food, for attention. But her son? He simply watched, like he already understood everything around him. Khalid tried to stay strong. He changed diapers. He rocked the baby when Amina couldn't. He kissed Amina's forehead and whispered, "You're doing well." But inside, fear grew. One evening, as he sat alone in the kitchen, he looked at the child sleeping in Amina's arms. His eyes were open, still golden, still watching. Khalid swallowed hard. Then he whispered, "What are you?" Amina didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, "He's mine." Khalid studied her carefully. "You still believe that?" Amina met his gaze. "I do," she said firmly. "Even if they don't." Khalid nodded slowly. Then he asked, "Do you believe what they say?" Amina blinked back tears. "That I dreamed too much?" she whispered. "That I brought something back from the river?" Khalid stayed silent. Amina exhaled. "I only know he is here," she said. "And I will love him until my last breath." Khalid reached for her hand. "And I'll stand beside you," he added. "No matter what they think." Amina gave a small smile. "Thank you." But even as she spoke, she knew. The village wouldn't forget, wouldn't accept, wouldn't stop whispering. Fatima stopped visiting. At first, she came every day bringing food, offering prayers, trying to bless the house. But soon she only stood outside, only watched, only prayed from a distance. One afternoon, Amina stepped outside with the baby wrapped in cloth. Fatima turned toward her. Her voice was firm. "He must be cleansed," she said. "The mosque must see him. The imam must speak." Amina tightened her hold on the baby. "I know," she said quietly. "But not yet." Fatima frowned. "Why not?" Amina looked down at the child. "Because I'm afraid," she admitted. "What if they take him from me?" Fatima hesitated. Then she whispered, "If he is cursed, maybe he should go." Amina looked up sharply. "You don't mean that." Fatima closed her eyes. "I want to protect you," she said. "But I also fear what you carry." Amina felt tears sting her eyes. "This is my son," she whispered. "Not a curse. He deserves love. He deserves home." Fatima didn't respond. She only turned and walked away, leaving Amina standing there alone, with the child who never cried, who never slept deeply, who never looked away from the river. The elders gathered in the mosque that week, not for prayer, but for remembrance. Imam Yusuf sat at the center, listening as Haja Mariam spoke of what she had seen. "The child does not cry," she whispered. "He drinks only water. And his eyes, they do not blink like others." A heavy silence filled the room. Then an older man, Uncle Samir, leaned forward. "This has happened before," he said. The room stilled. Samir looked around carefully. "Amina is not the first," he continued. "There was another woman, long ago. She walked toward the river every night. She dreamed of something calling her. And when she gave birth," he paused. Khalid, standing near the back, stepped forward. "When she gave birth?" he asked. Samir met his eyes. "The village flooded," he said. "Like the child brought the river with him." Another elder nodded. "They say the spirit took form through her," he added. "That it used her body to return." Khalid felt his chest tighten. "You think my wife is possessed?" Imam Yusuf finally spoke. "We do not know," he admitted. "But we must be careful." Khalid swallowed hard. Then he turned and left, because he couldn't listen anymore. Back home, Amina sat by the window holding the baby close. Khalid walked in quietly. She looked up. "They told you, didn't they?" Khalid hesitated. Amina gave a small, tired smile. "I knew they would." Khalid sat beside her. "They said this happened before," he whispered. "That another woman dreamed of the river. That her child made the floods come." Amina closed her eyes briefly. Then she whispered, "I'm not cursed." Khalid reached for her hand. "I believe you," he said gently. Amina opened her eyes. "Then why are you afraid?" Khalid didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "Because I don't know what he is." Amina looked down at the baby. "I don't either," she admitted. "But I know he's mine. That he needs me. That I will fight for him." Khalid studied her face. Then he whispered, "So will I." That night, Amina stood alone at the edge of the river. The wind carried whispers again, soft, familiar. She held the baby tightly. Then she whispered into the dark, "If you brought him to me." Her voice trembled slightly. "Why do they fear him?" There was no answer, only the ripple of water. But somehow she felt it, the presence beneath the surface, the thing watching, waiting, understanding, and maybe remembering. By morning, the stories spread. Children repeated them in the streets. Amina's son isn't human. He's from the old tales, from the time before faith ruled these lands. Even the market sellers avoided looking at her. One woman refused to take her money. "Touching your coins brings bad luck," she muttered. Amina blinked. Then slowly, she placed the payment on the table. Without another word, she walked away. Khalid followed. When they returned home, he pulled her into his arms. "They're afraid," he said gently. "It doesn't mean they're right." Amina buried her face in his chest. "I just want him to be loved," she whispered. "To have a life. To grow." Khalid kissed the top of her head. "He will," he promised. "As long as we protect him." Amina looked up at him. "But what if we can't?" Khalid met her gaze. "Then we run," he said. "We leave this place. We find somewhere that sees him as ours." Amina let out a shaky breath. Then she whispered, "I've already tried running from the river. It always finds me." Khalid held her tighter. "Then we stay. We fight. And we love harder than their fear." Amina nodded slowly, because even if the world called her cursed, she knew one truth they could never take. This was her child, her heart, her choice, and no matter what came next, she would hold on to him. Always. Khalid began to change. Not in faith, not in love for Amina, but in the way he looked at their child. At night, he would watch as Amina held the baby, whispering verses from the Quran, rocking him gently. The boy never cried, never reached for comfort, just watched, like he understood everything, even the fear in Khalid's eyes. One evening, after a long day of work, Khalid sat by the window. Amina walked over. "You okay?" she asked. Khalid hesitated, then whispered, "I want to protect you both." Amina studied his face. "But you're afraid." Khalid nodded slowly. "I don't know what he is," he admitted. "And I don't know if that makes me weak or foolish." Amina sat beside him. She placed the baby between them. Khalid flinched slightly. Amina met his gaze. "He is not evil," she said gently. "He is not wrong. He is just different." Khalid swallowed hard. "I believe you," he said, "but I also hear the stories, the warnings." Amina leaned closer. "What do you see?" Khalid looked down at the baby. His skin was smooth, his eyes sharp, his fingers curled slightly around Amina's hand. And suddenly he realized something. This child wasn't trying to scare him. He was just trying to live, like any other newborn, only differently. Khalid exhaled. "I see you," he said quietly. "That's all I need to know." Amina gave a small smile. Then she whispered, "Thank you." Khalid pulled her into a hug. "I will always choose you," he said. "No matter what they say. No matter what we face." Amina closed her eyes, and for the first time in days, she felt peace. Because even if the world feared her son, her husband still stood beside them, still chose love, still chose her. But the pressure grew. One afternoon, Khalid visited his parents' home, hoping to find support. Instead, he found silence. His father sat across from him, expression unreadable. "You still with them?" he asked. Khalid frowned. "They are my family." His father shook his head. "She brought something unnatural into this world," he muttered. "It doesn't belong here." Khalid clenched his fists. "He does," he said firmly. "He's a child. He deserves life." His mother finally spoke. "We pray for you," she said gently. "For your wife. For the boy." Khalid blinked back sudden tears. "Then why won't you hold him?" he asked. Silence. Then his father said, "Because we fear it." Khalid stood. "I used to too," he admitted. "But now I know something more important." His voice steadied. "I know they need me." And with that he left, walking away from the only home he had ever known. to return to the one he was building. That night, Khalid returned to Amina. She sat on the bed, holding the baby close. He looked at them both. Then he whispered, "They won't touch him." Amina didn't look surprised. Khalid sat beside her. "But I will," he added. "I'll hold him. I'll raise him. I'll teach him who he is." Amina turned to him. "You don't have to," she said. "You could walk away. No one would blame you." Khalid took the baby carefully into his arms. He held him like he was fragile, like he was precious. Then he looked at Amina. "I already made my choice," he said. "I'm not leaving. I'm staying. With you. With him." Amina felt warmth spread through her chest. Then she whispered, "What if they come for us?" Khalid met her eyes. "They can try," he said, "but they'll have to go through me first." And somehow that changed everything. Because now Amina knew she wasn't alone. She had someone who saw her, who saw them, and who still chose to stay. Even when the world told him not to. The day came. Imam Yusuf had insisted the child must be blessed. He must be cleansed. He must be seen by the faith. Amina wrapped her son in soft cloth, heart pounding with something between hope and fear. Khalid walked beside her, silent, but steady. As they entered the mosque, whispers followed them like wind through trees. "Is it true? Does she really bring him here? What if he brings the river inside?" They reached the front. Imam Yusuf stood before a basin of holy water, face unreadable. He looked at the baby for a long moment. Then he dipped his fingers into the bowl. And suddenly the water boiled. Not violently, not dramatically, but unmistakably. Amina's breath caught. Khalid stepped forward instinctively. The Imam pulled his hand back slowly. Silence filled the room. Then he whispered, "This one is not ours." Amina's chest tightened. She met his gaze. "But he is mine." Imam Yusuf exhaled. "I do not doubt your love," he said gently. "But this is not just about love. It is about what walks among us." Amina swallowed hard. "Do you believe I am cursed?" Imam Yusuf hesitated. "I believe," he said carefully, "that some things are older than our prayers, that some spirits find ways to return, and that we must be careful." Amina felt tears sting her eyes. "Then help me," she whispered. "Teach me how to raise him right." Imam Yusuf studied her. Then he placed a hand on her shoulder. "I will pray for guidance," he said, "but I cannot bless him today." Amina blinked back tears. Khalid took her hand. Then he asked, "Why not?" The Imam looked at the still steaming water. "Because the blessing did not take," he said quietly. "The child does not react as others do. He watches too closely. He listens too deeply." Amina looked down at her son. His golden eyes reflected the light from the candles. Like glass, like stone, like something ancient, still watching, still listening, always present. Back home, Amina sat in silence. Khalid watched her carefully. "You okay?" he asked. Amina didn't answer right away. Finally, she whispered, "They won't accept him." Khalid sat beside her. "They don't know him," he said. "They only see stories." Amina nodded. "But what if those stories are true?" Khalid frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Amina looked at him. "What if he was born from the river? What if I dreamed him into life?" Khalid reached for her. "You gave birth to him," he said firmly. "That makes him real. That makes him yours." Amina let out a shaky breath. "But not theirs." Khalid squeezed her hand. "No," he admitted. "Not theirs." Amina looked toward the window, toward the distant river. Then she whispered, "Maybe that means we leave." Khalid studied her. "You want to run?" Amina shook her head. "I want to live," she said. "To give him a chance. To grow without fear." Khalid looked at their son. Then he whispered, "We'll find a way, even if it meant leaving everything behind." That night, Khalid sat alone on the porch. He stared at the stars, searching for answers. Haja Mariam approached quietly. "You still stand beside them?" she asked. Khalid nodded. I do. Mariam sighed. I've seen many births, she said. But never one like this. Khalid looked at her. You think he's wrong? Mariam shook her head. No, she whispered. I think he's real. Just not in the way we understand. Khalid swallowed hard. Then why do they fear him? Mariam studied the house. Because he reminds them of something they buried, she said. Something older than belief. Something they thought was gone. Khalid closed his eyes. Then he whispered, I can't let go of them. Mariam gave a small, knowing smile. Then you must protect them, she said. Because love is not always easy. Sometimes, it asks more than we expect. Khalid nodded. I already know that. The whispers turned into warnings. At first, the village just avoided Amina. They wouldn't greet her, wouldn't share food at festivals, wouldn't let their children play near her home. But soon, the fear hardened into action. One morning, Khalid walked to the market, only to find a circle of men waiting for him. Uncle Samir stepped forward. You must make a choice, he said. Your family or her. Khalid's jaw tightened. She is my family. Samir shook his head. That child is not blessed, he muttered. He brings danger. The river follows him. Khalid took a deep breath. I will not leave them, he said firmly. No matter what you believe. Samir studied him. Then he whispered, Then you are lost too. And with that, the crowd parted. Not in anger, but in silence. The kind that meant exile. That evening, Amina sat by the window, watching as neighbors crossed themselves when she passed. Children pointed. Old women looked away. Even Haja Mariam no longer came to check on her. She felt the shift like cold wind through open doors. Khalid returned home with a heavy heart. They gave me a choice, he said quietly. To stay or go. Amina blinked back tears. And what did you say? Khalid pulled her close. That I'm staying, he whispered. That I won't leave you. Amina rested her head against his chest. Then she whispered, I don't want to lose this place. My mother. My people. But I can't give up my son. Khalid kissed the top of her head. We'll find somewhere that sees us, he promised. Where we belong. Amina nodded slowly. Then she added, But not yet. Khalid frowned slightly. Amina met his eyes. I need time, she said, to understand who he really is. Days passed. The baby grew not fast but steadily. He didn't speak, didn't babble, just watched. And sometimes, when Amina held him at night, he reached toward the window, toward the direction of the river, like something was calling him, calling them. One afternoon, a stone crashed through their window. Amina gasped, pulling the baby close. Khalid rushed inside, then saw the message tied around it. Return him to the water. Amina read it silently. Then she whispered, They want him gone. Khalid clenched his fists. They don't know him, he said. They don't know us. Amina looked down at the boy. His golden eyes reflected the light. Then he smiled. Not widely, not joyfully, but softly, like he understood, like he knew. And somehow that made everything feel real. This was her child, her love, her choice, and no one could take that from her. That night they sat together on the floor. Khalid traced the baby's fingers, slightly webbed, but warm. He's not wrong, he whispered. He's just different. Amina leaned into him. I know, she said, but they don't see it. Khalid met her eyes. Then we teach them. Amina gave a small smile. How? She asked. They already decided. Khalid looked at the baby again. By showing them, he said, that he's still a child, that he still needs love, that he still deserves life. Amina closed her eyes. Then she whispered, What if they come for him? Khalid pulled her and the baby closer. Then I'll be ready, because now he wasn't just a husband. He was a father, and he would fight for this child, even if it meant losing everything else. The night of the full moon, Amina returned to the river. She didn't tell Khalid, didn't ask permission. She only wrapped the baby in soft cloth and walked barefoot through the dirt path behind their home. The village slept, but the river was awake. It whispered her name like it had always known her. Amina reached the edge, heart pounding. She knelt slowly, holding the child close. Then she whispered into the water, "If he belongs to you, take him." Silence. Only the wind answered. Only the stars watched. Then came a ripple. Not from her movement. From beneath. Amina swallowed hard. The baby stirred in her arms, not crying, not screaming, just watching. Watching the water, like he recognized it, like he wanted to go back. Amina felt tears sting her eyes. She tightened her hold. "No," she whispered. "He is mine. I carried him. I gave him life. And I will raise him." Another ripple. This time closer. Amina stood slowly. She took a step back. Then another. But still the water moved with her. Not violently. Not angrily. Just knowing. And suddenly she understood. This wasn't just fear. This wasn't just superstition. There was truth beneath the stories. Truth buried by time, by faith, by silence. Because the river had taken someone once. And now it had given something back. Through her. Through him. Back home, Amina sat beside Khalid. He looked up from his prayer book. "You went to the river again." Amina didn't deny it. Khalid studied her face. "What happened?" Amina hesitated. Then she whispered, "I tried to give him back." Khalid's chest tightened. "But I couldn't." She looked at him. "The moment I held him over the water," her voice trembled slightly, "I realized I already knew him. He's not just from dreams. He's part of me." Khalid reached for her hand. "I believe you." Amina blinked back tears. "Even if he's different?" Khalid nodded. "He's still our son." Amina leaned into him. Then she asked, "What do we do now?" Khalid exhaled. "We teach him love," he said. "We show him who he is. And we protect him from those who don't understand." Amina closed her eyes. "I want him to know faith," she whispered. "To read the Quran. To pray with us." Khalid met her gaze. "Then we teach him." And so they did. They placed the holy book beside him as he lay on a blanket. They recited verses softly while he listened. Truly listened. He didn't speak yet, but he responded. With small smiles. With quiet nods. With golden eyes that softened when they touched his head. Weeks passed. The village grew colder. One afternoon, Amina visited the market again, hoping someone might finally speak to her. Instead, she found Haja Mariam waiting. The midwife pulled her aside. "Amina," she said gently, "I've seen many things in my life, but never a mother like you." Amina blinked. Mariam continued, voice low. "They say you are cursed," she admitted, "that your boy brings fear. But I see something else." Amina waited. Mariam met her eyes. "I see love," she said. "Real love. The kind that doesn't run." Amina felt tears well up. Mariam reached out, then touched the baby's cheek. Cold, but gentle. "He may be different," she whispered, "but he still breathes. He still lives. And he still needs you." Amina nodded. Then she asked, "Do you believe I should stay here?" Mariam hesitated. "No," she admitted. "This place no longer sees you as one of them. You must find somewhere that does." Amina let out a shaky breath. Then she whispered, "I know." And somehow, that made letting go easier. Because now she had proof. Proof that this wasn't just fear. It was fate. And fate had chosen her. To raise something the world refused to understand. They left in the dead of night. Amina carried the baby wrapped tightly in cloth. Khalid held their few belongings, clothes, books, and a small Quran. They didn't say goodbye to Fatima. She stood at the doorway, silent tears on her face. Then she whispered, "May Allah guide you." And with that they walked away. The village faded behind them. But not its memories. Not its fear. Not its whispers. They traveled for days. Through quiet roads. Through unfamiliar towns. through forests where no one followed. One evening, exhausted and hungry, they stopped near a new river, smaller than the one Amina had known. She looked down at the water. It was still watching, still waiting. Khalid noticed. "You okay?" he asked gently. Amina gave a small nod. "I just wonder," she swallowed hard, "if I leave this place, does it stop seeing me?" Khalid reached for her hand. "It doesn't matter," he said, "because I do. And so does he." Amina looked at their son, now sleeping peacefully in her arms. Then she whispered, "I hope we find somewhere kinder." Khalid kissed her forehead. "We will." They found a town far from the old stories. Amina changed her name. Khalid started work as a carpenter. They built a small home by the edge of a forest, not near any river. At first, people were kind. They welcomed them, asked about their past, offered help. But soon, the boy began showing signs again. He wouldn't eat milk or bread, only water. He watched people too long, smiled without sound. And once, during a storm, he stared at the rain like he understood it, like he welcomed it. Years passed. Amina and Khalid raised the boy in silence, not out of shame but out of caution. He grew slowly, not like other children. No tantrums, no loud laughter, no fear of water. Only calm, only presence, only watching. At school, teachers noticed how he didn't speak much. But when he did, his voice was soft, measured, like he chose every word carefully. Children stayed away from him. Some said he never blinked. Others whispered that his skin felt too cold. One girl even claimed she saw him walk on water during a field trip to the lake. Amina tried to teach him faith. She read verses with him at night. She taught him prayers. She held him close and whispered, "You are mine," and he would smile, just slightly, but enough. Enough for her to know he understood, even if he wasn't fully human. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, Khalid turned to Amina. "He's different," he admitted gently, "but not wrong." Amina looked at him. Khalid continued, "I used to think I'd wake up one day and realize this was all a dream. But now," he exhaled, "I just see you, and him, and love." Amina let out a shaky breath. Then she whispered, "Do you still believe in me?" Khalid reached for her hand. "More than ever." Amina leaned into him. "I don't care what they say anymore," she said. "I only care that he knows who he is." Khalid nodded. "And what do we tell him?" Amina thought for a long moment. Then she said, "We tell him truth, that he came from dreams, that he came from me, that he belongs to no curse, only to us." Khalid gave a small smile. "That's good enough. This is not a story about monsters. It's about fear, about how quickly belief turns to judgment, about how hard it is to protect someone the world already decided to hate. Amina didn't give birth to what was expected, but she loved fiercely, and that is what truly matters. Because love doesn't ask for permission. It only asks for presence, for choice, for courage.